This is the YOB ConvoCast, one-on-one conversations with your other brother's authors, community members, supporters, and friends.
What's up, friends, and welcome back to the YOB ConvoCast conversations with the most beautiful people on the planet, in the universe.
Beauty tribe.
We're back with Adam. Adam, what's up?
Tom, you're so good at this. You're so professional at recording podcasts. Your transition from just casual chit chat, warm up conversation, making sure your guest is comfortable and has his whistle wet, then shifting into the rest of the podcast is just so seamless. It's like it was so smooth, and you're such a great host. You know what you're doing.
I don't know if you know this. I've recorded over 100 YOBcasts now and over 60 ConvoCasts. So I've done this a time or two.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable? Adam? I want to make sure that you're in a good space because we have a great conversation in front of us.
I think I'm comfortable. I feel like I look like I'm filming a hostage video.
Yeah, you were texting me about having some technical difficulties finding a nice quiet place to record.
Yeah, well, neighbors on both sides of me are doing some construction work, but so it's hard to find a refuge in my house. There are no refugees in my house except for me. But I'm comfortable. I'm so excited to talk about what we're going to talk about.
This is going to be such a fun conversation because, we've talked about the Enneagram, something that you love. Last time we talked about strengths finders and positivity and something else that you love. And so now we're just continuing to hit the ground running with things that you love / things that I love. It's always great when both sides of the conversation are aligned in their love for a certain topic or a certain conversation. Because today we are talking about the beloved / slightly repetitive, but also fresh every season reality TV show, Survivor. We're talking about Survivor today.
Oh, and speaking of things I love, there are few things in this world I love more than Survivor. It makes me so happy. Yes, and Survivor is evergreen, ever new, ever fresh. Every season is new and wonderful, and you'll be renewed in your first love for the show every time you dip your toes back into the waters, except for season 43, which did not happen. But yeah.
For those that aren't keeping count at home, we're up to season 44 now, and we're gonna towards the end of the episode we'll talk about the current season. We've got a couple episodes under our belts for this new season of Survivor. So for any Survivor fans listening, we got we'll reserve the last part of this episode to talk about the current season. But for those that maybe aren't as big into this show or aren't sure what we're going to talk about today, I really want to explore why do two not straight people like ourselves, why do we love the show so much? And furthermore, why does this seem to be a trend amongst the greater queer audience? Because over the years, for whatever reason, Survivor has attracted a very strong following amongst the LGBTQ community. And I'm really curious to explore that with you. What is it that draws people like us to this show? Because it's just way more common. Back in the day, to show my little origin story of Survivor a little bit, I used to play online reality games called
ORGs.
Yes. And I would play, someone would organize it and they would set up these forums and people would apply. You would send in an email application, or you might do a Skype interview or something. And so then you would play on this forum. This was years ago, 15 years ago, I did this. When I was fresh in college, not even out of college, in college and out of college. And I would play with these strangers around the internet. And by and large, this was before I came out. But so everyone assumed I was the one straight person, because pretty much 80 to 90% of the people I'd be playing with were gay. Mostly men. You get a smattering of women. It would always be 70% men, 30% women. It was very rarely 50-50 like the show always is on TV. But I don't know, because I just wondered for years, why are there so many gay people playing these online versions of Survivor? But then that translates clearly into just a beloved reaction to this show. So I want to learn like from you, and then I'll share for myself, like what drew you to Survivor? Have you been watching from the beginning, or are you one of those like people who figured it out 20 seasons down the road and jumped on board? Like what's your story with this show?
Yeah. Well, first of all, this is very unscripted. I yesterday unexpectedly ended up falling down this little wormhole and just looking up and researching if there are still orgs that are thriving and still being put on. And there are so many.
There are, yeah.
You should get back in the game. Honestly.
That would be so, for all the amount of time I spend on the internet for your other brothers, I can only imagine you tack on, it's like a part-time job. You have to spend all these hours online talking to people on it. It's really fun, but it's time consuming. So I don't know. It's a lot.
Well, it is a lot. And sure, I understand that point. But think about how fun it would be if we did one together and competed against each other.
Yeah.
Maybe work together, stab each other in the back. That'd be so much fun. Anyhow,
voting you out would be so much fun.
That would be fun.
I would cry.
No, you wouldn't.
I would. I think I would.
I would love that. I would be the amazing person to vote out because I'd give a really big dramatic reaction where I would just be angry and devastated and hurt, and there'd be a lot of theatrics involved. So you should stab me in the back and cut my throat, or at least try. I'll definitely get you first.
No, remember, I don't know if this was a conversation with you or someone else. They all run together, but like I have this thing.
Wow. Okay. Conversations with me.
No, I honestly don't remember. I don't remember if it was you or not.
So unique and memorable. Wow.
I was on this. I was on this thing. I think it was with you where I was like, I have this like sarcasm and irony is a big love language. So like, I kind of love it when people say spiteful things toward me. So like something spiteful, like voting me out would be very devastating, but I don't know if I would be part of me that would enjoy being voted out by a dear friend or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would go. That would mess with my emotions.
I would be interested to find out.
I've been voted out every single time I've played these games. I've played 5 or 6 of them in my time, and I've gotten voted out every single time. And every single time, it was sad. It was like, oh, I thought you people liked me, and you didn't.
Yeah.
Or it's just eventually you run out of people to choose from. So there you go.
Yeah, and it's a badge of honor because they view you as a threat. And obviously you are a threat, and you're good at those games. And you did really well in so many of those games that you're talking about.
I'm so threatening. Yeah, I've gotten as high as 4th and 5th place. Those were my best.
Exactly.
Showings. Yeah.
And 4th and 5th is notoriously the spot where the big strategic threat gets eliminated. Like
that's right.
4th and 5th is such a badge of honor.
They were afraid of me. They couldn't stand going to the end with me. So that's why.
Genuinely. Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, Adam, how did you get into this show? What called to you about this show?
So I wish I could say that I started from the beginning in the year 2000.
Excuse me. I have to find someone else to talk to now. Someone who's actually been there from the start. Okay. So the show started in 2000. When did you come along? When did you start watching this show?
So my family would not have been the type to have allowed us to watch Survivor with, people in their bathing suits or whatever. And so it wasn't an option for me to get into growing up, and it wasn't anything that was a part of my family culture. And so I didn't discover it until recently, just in the pandemic, actually, at the very start of the pandemic, that March or April, I just suddenly found myself with time to dive in, and it had been like building up, me thinking about getting into it. And then finally when the pandemic hit, I had all this time, and I just became so insanely addicted so immediately. I watched 30 seasons in 2 months.
One in 2 months. Way. That's like a season every other day.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you do that?
It was the pandemic, like the start of the pandemic when everything was shut down. So I had nothing but time, and it was just me and my roommate. And I would just work on puzzles and go on walks. And like when I wasn't watching Survivor, I was like listening to podcasts about Survivor, which has been true ever since then. But I would also watch it on like 1.5, 1.75 speed.
That's the strategy. Yeah, speed it up a little bit. Wow. So thank you, Pandemic, for introducing Survivor to my guest here today.
My life has never been the same since.
So what you mentioned, it was building up. Like, what attracted you to the show? Like, oh, that's a show that I want to watch at some point. Like, what about it was calling to you? And then what made it so addicting once you started watching?
Yeah. Well, I think learning a little bit about the apparatus around Survivor in terms of all of the commentary and the history and the like the kind of like all the discussions around Survivor and all the podcasting around Survivor and all of the lore and all of the things you can get to learn about the game and explore about the game. That was just interesting and intriguing. It just seemed like this whole biosphere that you can just kind of sink your teeth into and learn, like in this whole other world. And just above all, I was really intrigued by the strategic gameplay that was going on. And I love competition and I love strategy. And then what hooked me just immediately was, just everything about it. The competition, the fact that it was a competition that required not, sports skills and, which is all well and good, which is fine. You don't have to learn how to shoot a basketball in a hoop or, you don't have to be the fastest runner or swimmer, but you have to be strategic, a critical thinker. You have to think ahead. You have to be very sociable. You have to be able to use social skills to make alliances and make friends and think through and anticipate what other people are thinking and anticipate when other people are trying to come for you. Just that, all of the social strategic machinations that were involved and all of the soft skills you had to have in order to make it far in the game, in order to do well in the game. That was just so thrilling to me, because it just felt like a sport that was so much more accessible to anyone, that like anyone could come up and dive into the game of Survivor and do really well and have a lot of fun doing it. Just so long as you were smart and social and could just maneuver a lot of different social dynamics and could think critically and strategically.
Yeah. And I think because you like games, right? You're like a game person. You love games. Yeah. And I think maybe there's a bigger connection here, because I also have noticed over the years, just in my connections with guys in YOB and elsewhere, but I just feel like by and large, our population loves board games, loves strategy, loves things like that. Maybe it's sort of like a conduit. Like if we feel like we don't excel or don't have confidence in traditional sports or games like whether it's basketball or football or baseball or any of those things, like maybe we gravitate. We still have this like competitive energy inside of us that needs to come out somewhere. And so maybe board games is like one way it does. And by extension, you look at Survivor, which is like a human board game, a human chess is kind of what it's called. Like, I think maybe that's a conduit for this like competitive sporty energy that we still have. It's just got to find its way out in some other capacity. So I can see that being true of myself, because I'm a big game strategy person as well. And I think I'm thinking back. So for me, I am a Survivor lifer. I am a Survivor purist, going all the way back to 2000. I was how old was I? I was 13 the summer of 2000 when this show came out. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire had just come out. And that to me was so enthralling and so gripping that there was this quiz show that there was $1 million prize and Regis was hosting and he was such a great host. And I was already kind of in that mindset of like some sort of an epic game show. For whatever reason, like I remember watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and it was on late at night. Like it was during the school nights, and I have to stay up to watch it. And I think my parents, sometimes they would let me watch it and sometimes they wouldn't. And so I just remember leading into the summer of 2000, this show Survivor about people being stranded on an island, and they have to, like, I didn't know that at the very beginning when it was put on TV, like no one knew what the rules were or how this show even worked. We were just told that 16 people would be put on an island, and at the end, one of them will be left. And so it's like, how are they getting eliminated? How does this show even work? But I didn't care. I just watched it, and I still remember watching it, watching the premiere at my grandparents' house because I was visiting my grandparents that summer. And I was just hooked right away from the first, the first yodeling voices in the background, like it was like right from the beginning. Yeah. And I was hooked, and I had to wait. I couldn't binge seasons. All in a row. Like you did. I had to wait week after week to watch this show play out. And I was just so hooked as a kid. I will be honest, because as I was thinking today about reasons why gay people / me / you / maybe a lot of people listening love this show. I think that is definitely one thing that we just mentioned, just like the love for strategy and gaminess. Like I think that's part of it. I'll be honest, as a 13-year-old, right in the middle of a developing body and hormones and puberty unfolding, like I think I liken Survivor sometimes to like that row of the underwear when you go into Target or Walmart or something and you see all of those bodies there. It's almost like you get to watch that for 40 minutes, because I would be lying if I said that wasn't a draw to the show. It wasn't the dominant reason. I wouldn't say that's like at the top of the list. I'm not an animal, but I'm also a human, and I enjoy looking at beautiful. I was going to say beautiful bodies, but let's be honest, I was looking at the men on the screen. And I think that to me, as a 13-year-old, 14, 15-year-old who watched this show season after season after season, like I don't know, there was that element of it too. And so I do wonder if that's part of it. Like it's not all of it. It's not a big part of it, but it is a part of it. It's funny that you mentioned your family wouldn't let you watch it, because people in bathing suits, sometimes not even bathing suits, it's like in their underwear and in their bras and in their just undergarments. Like it's it can be a little much, but it's like 100 degrees out there. They gotta survive.
Yeah, that's really more what it is. Yeah, and especially I think for a teenager, it would be a lot, and it would be like, oh wow, like this is very interesting. But now as an adult, it's just like, oh yeah, it's just beautiful people just being comfortable and just doing what they have to do to survive the elements. And but it's not like a stumbling block, or it's not like it's not at all sexually explicit. Or
Survivor doesn't air on HBO, so it's not like you see the nakedness, or you see exactly. a lot more than what they can show on public television. So yeah, there's that element of it too.
It's not sexual at all. So it's very safe and fun in that regard. I do think that's an element. They're very attractive people, attractive guys, of a very diverse variety, which is a lot of fun. I think one thing I was thinking of and trying to think through why, queer people, like gay men especially, might be drawn to Survivor is the fact that growing up queer, they're typically, unless you were in an extremely progressive house, most people growing up had to really be closeted and had to hide themselves, hide their sexualities, hide anything that might give that away. And so a lot of queer people growing up developed hypervigilance, or had to be hypervigilant and watch everything they said and did. And they also had to, I mean, I can speak for myself. I certainly had to be hyper aware of what the people around me were saying and thinking, and like read really deeply into their intentions, just to like stay safe and just to make sure that I wasn't saying the wrong thing or like hiding myself well. And so a lot of queer people growing up develop these skills of learning how to say the exact right thing, and how to like position themselves and posture themselves well, and how to present themselves well, and how to like navigate difficult dynamics in conversations and difficult social dynamics, and learn how to really read a room and read people's body language. And I think what's thrilling about Survivor from that standpoint, and what might be a huge draw for queer people, is that it's those skills that we learned growing up and fine-tuned growing up that are the exact skill set you need to really thrive in Survivor. everyone on the island is in this position where they have to be hyper vigilant, have to watch everything they say and they do, and have to read people and try to gauge what people are thinking, what people are talking about, and navigate a lot of complicated social dynamics. And it's a skill set that feels like it was already kind of given to queer people. That was a skill set that so many queer people already have. And so it's like a game that was like built and designed for them to thrive in. So I think that could be one element.
You put that so much better than I could have, because I was thinking exactly that same thing. We were on the same wavelength. I was just thinking about that. I was like, yeah, we are already in survival mode from like the time we start figuring out that there's something different with us. And so you just put words to all of that, where there's no sense that I would repeat it or add on to it. Like that just says everything I was thinking, in addition to what we've already put out there. I just think,
thank you, Tom.
This show is made. This show is made for gay people.
It really crazy. Is. And it's also so gratifying. A lot of gay men grow up feeling like other, or feeling less masculine in a way, and might feel that's just like commonality I think many of us share, and feeling just like a little bit separate from more traditionally masculine straight guys growing up. And it's so gratifying to see queer people really thrive on this show, and just to see not just queer people, but to see more than that, to see like other body types and other types of people, like the nerdy archetypes and guys, gay or straight, who are like skinny or not very athletic, or potentially like overweight and not super muscular, and to see them beat and dominate the like traditionally muscular masculine guys. It's like that classic masculine archetype actually doesn't do very well on the show. And it's like, this is the game where actually they come in with like a disadvantage. You come in with a disadvantage if you're very unaware socially, and if you are obviously very like muscular and super fit. And it's so much fun to see like women and other types of people just come in and be so well suited for the game, and also just to like beat up on and dominate all these other guys.
There is something super gratifying. I don't know if you're the same way, but there's something super gratifying to me when like the super macho alpha male type, like they're pretty much always guaranteed to make it through the merge. For those that don't know the Survivor layout, they typically will start out as tribes of 6 people, 8 people, 10 people. That's the first part of the game, is they compete as tribes. And then at one point in the game, when there's like 10 or 12 people left, all the tribes will merge, and there'll be individuals fighting for themselves in one tribe. And typically, I mean, there are fluctuations season to season, but typically those like big, strong alpha male types kind of have a little bit of a free pass through the first part of the game, because you need their strength to do well in the challenges. And they're usually people that, I mean, again, there are exceptions, but they usually, by and large, will make it to that merge part. But then for me, there's something so gratifying once we get to that merge part. And now it's like all of the smaller, weaker people like band together, and they go against the big, strong alpha types and take them out, like usually within the first few votes of the merge. And to me, that's just so gratifying to be like, if you can just survive long enough, you're not as strong as them. You don't have as much endurance as them, or you don't have as much of a presence as them. But if you can just stay in the game, if you can just survive a little bit longer, then you will have your day. You will be able to overtake the person who typically succeeds in life or is more noticed in life. The little underdogs can rise up, and that's just so gratifying. It's happened so
It's so gratifying. It's such a game for underdogs. It happens time and time again. It's beautiful to see. That's very well said. Also, gay people do so well on the show. I mean,
they do,
really,
yeah.
The one player, without any spoilers, who kind of shaped the game more than anybody and helped kind of establish the blueprint for how the game developed and became what it is today, was a gay man. Like if there's the founding father of this television show, it's a gay man. And one of the best winners ever, Oh, okay, almost spoilers. It's also gay man. It's just like gay people have done really well on the show. But yeah, it's above all, it's a show for underdogs, and it's wonderful to see.
I wish there probably is like a stat page. I'd be curious to see like the percentage of gay people or queer people who have made it to a certain point in the game. Because I do get the sense that a good number of them made it to like the last few legs of the game. So I'd have to check the stats on that.
I did check the stats on that.
You did?
Of course.
Whoa.
And very few gay men were kicked off before the merge. Almost all gay men made it to the merge or passed.
I mean, in my mind, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like definitely a majority of them made it to the merge, but even a good number of those made it to like the final four, final five, like pretty far in the game. Yeah. Exactly. So what a fun little exploration of this topic. As you can see, the hourglass, we're getting a little towards the end of our conversation, Adam. So what do you say we crack open this season a little bit? You want to do that?
Let's get into this season.
We're on season 44. So a few seasons ago, Survivor, they just stopped naming them after the locations because for the last decade or something, they've just hunkered down in Fiji and they just film all of their seasons in Fiji now. So for the last few seasons, they don't even call it Survivor Fiji or Survivor Island Chain, whatever. They were calling the seasons by the twist of the season for a few seasons, and that kind of got repetitive and clunky. So now they're just being super simple, which I appreciate. If they're going to I wish they wouldn't just stay in Fiji. I wish they would go to different places. I miss how they used to go to different parts of the world. But if they're going to stay in Fiji, like just call it by the number season that we're on. That works. So we're on season 44 for those that are listening to this like 20 years from now and they want to know what we thought of, if they want to know about what we thought about the first 2 episodes of Survivor 44, they will find this podcast and they will listen to it. But I'm so excited to talk about a season because I did this once with Nate on the All Winners season. I think we did a Survivor recap of some episode in that season. So it's been a few years since I've had a Survivor recap show or discussion like this one. So I'm so excited. I hope at least 5 listeners are too.
Maybe this could be the pilot or premiere episode of your YOB Survivor recap show.
Ooh.
I mean,
listeners, hit us up if that's a show you would listen to. We'll definitely have to come back at the end of it. I think this would be fun to come back at the end of the season and then kind of revisit this season. And what did we think? Did it get better? Did it get worse? Did it end great? Did it end flat? What was, kind of a before and after? I think that would be fun.
Yes.
This also, I want to talk about the season, but this also makes me think about another topic I wanted to talk about Survivor. We'll save that for the very end. But this season 44, we've had 3 eliminations after 2 episodes. It was really sad. Somebody, I guess spoiler alert, if anyone hasn't seen the first 2 episodes, there it is. The spoiler alert is out. But anyway, there was a sad injury in the first episode that took out somebody that you really loved. So that was really sad. But
I did.
But we've had two tribal councils, 2 vote offs now. It's been very strategic already. It's very it's a strategic group, I would say.
Absolutely. It's just the perfect Venn diagram of strategic and very entertaining characters.
Oh my gosh.
In the best way.
Can we start with the purple tribe? There's a green tribe and a purple tribe that we really love. The orange tribe is kind of whatever. I could care less about them. But purple tribe. So there is probably my favorite person on this show right now is this like hippie drug counselor, middle-aged mom named Carolyn. She is like
Carolyn.
Her facial expressions, her voice, her laughter, the way she walks, the way she talks. I just want her on my screen the whole time I'm watching her. I just want to watch her operate in this world, and I
know everything she does is entertaining and wonderful and so funny. Like not a single movement is wasted.
I know. And I feel so sad because it's like she is the prototype for like who do you vote off before the merge? Like, you get rid of the older woman who's not as strong or who's like maybe a little kooky or a little different. But so far traditionally, yeah. So she's got her hand it's stacked against her for sure. But she's found an idol advantage and she's I don't know. I think she's in a good spot now after this. I was nervous about this episode.
She's in a great spot.
So I really hope she's got to make it to the merge. And then
she will. There's no shot she's not going to. I feel very confident that my two favorite players from that tribe are making the merge.
And who are your two favorite players?
Carolyn and Jam Jam.
Is it Jam Jam or Yam Yam?
It's Jam Jam. He put out a video saying it's pronounced Jam Jam.
But on the screen, they spell it Yam Yam, like it's a meat.
But you just
Jam Jam.
You pronounce the Y as a J. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's Latino. He's from Puerto Rico, and so he's got like that energy. We were talking about this with some friends. He is like, what did somebody say? He's like 10 queer people in one.
Yeah.
Something of that effect. He's very gay. He's got the mannerisms and the voice, but he's so sweet and so funny. He's so sweet. He's got such a great energy. I love him too.
I really like him. He's beautiful and just has the best energy and just seems to be really confident in himself and comfortable with himself. And that's very attractive. And that's just a wonderful quality for anyone to have. And he's also so entertaining. He's so funny. I don't understand how two of just like the best, most interesting, charismatic, entertaining, funny characters somehow ended up on the same season in the same tribe.
In the same tribe. Yeah.
A joy. And they're allied. They're working together.
They're working together. They fit really well together. Yeah, I'm really excited for them. And then also on the Purple Tribe, my favorite person to look at. He's just so adorable to look at.
He is
Carson.
I really like him.
Kind of got the nerd archetype with the big thick glasses, and he's a rocket scientist at Georgia Tech. So he's got like clearly the smarts, and he's very smart. But something I was really endeared by in the premiere episode, he talked about how he's never dated anybody. And he's presumably straight, I guess, but he's never dated a woman. And he did like this insane workout regimen where he was like this like super pasty, pale, skinny little nerdy boy. And then he gained 30 pounds of muscle and bulk, and he looks really good now. Like that's he looks great. Yeah, I know. And he's doing such a good job, and he's like very entertaining and fun, and I really like him, and charismatic, and seems very smart and strategic. And he was definitely the center of the latest tribal council. Like he ended up, I think, making that decision. Yes, he was instrumental. A Carson, Jam Jam, Carolyn final three would be divine.
I would be so down for that.
We'll see. There's still a long game to play. I don't know. We'll see.
There's a lot of game to play. But I really hope they stick together, and I hope they make it through the merge. It's like I feel like they're like a little family unit. It's like Jam Jam and Carolyn are the parents, and I don't want
the Purple Tribe to lose anymore. Real quick, because again, I've written off the Orange Tribe. There's really nobody on Orange Tribe. I'm super like on right now. But Green Tribe, I'm in love with Franny and Matt. There's like more dorky vibes going on. Carried over from again, it's all about cheering for the underdogs in life. You know, it's like Matt was really vulnerable saying that he just got out of a relationship and that was really hard for him, and now all of a sudden he finds this like attraction for Franny, who's this like kind of a goofy, they're both kind of a little goofy nerdy types. I'm a little afraid for them because if they're so obvious about their connection, the other four might band up against them because they haven't had to vote yet, so they're still all intact. So I'm a little worried about Franny and Matt, or as I'm hashtagging them, frat. And we'll see. But I really love those two together. I think they have a great energy.
I like the two together. I like the two of them together a lot as well. I am super worried for them. It feels like Matt especially is just, his gameplay is very clouded. He doesn't have a clear perspective. It seems like I feel very doubtful of his ability to progress far in the game, or at least do very well. Franny seems like she's a little bit more clear-headed, but how do you, I feel like honestly, the best thing that could happen for her game wise would be if Matt got cut, and then she could just double down on her friendships and relationships with, especially Claire, who was probably my favorite on that tribe, her and Franny. I love Claire. I'm very impressed with her.
Okay.
I love how she stirred the pot in episode 1 and caused so much chaos in a tribe she wasn't even involved in, just for talking with Matthew on the sit-out bench. And there was both secret scenes. Have you seen the secret, deleted scenes that they put out?
Tell me your secrets. Yeah, what are in the
They
secret
both
scenes?
revolve around Claire. In the first one, in particular, it was just all about how everyone on the tribe loves Claire and about how much social power Claire has on that tribe. And she just seems very smart and put together, and she's also giving great expressions and great, just like, Jam Jam and Caroline have like the best facial reactions to everything and are so funny. Claire's also been really funny. I love the look of like the very skeptical look of kind of disdain that she gave to Franny and Matt when she was like, what are these guys doing? But that was just really funny.
Well, Franny is my top pick to win. So that was preseason. Yes. We did a little draw, and so she is my favorite to win. But I think Carson's right behind. I think they're in really good spots. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
You have half of a good team. You have Carson and Franny. They're super solid, and then you have Brandon and Jamie from the Orange Tribe, and yeah.
Brandon, which is fun. He's a former NFL player. Like, he seems sweet though. He doesn't seem like so macho and like out of touch with his feelings. He seems sweet. He is from very close. He's the next door neighbor town to where I grew up in Pennsylvania. So that's where he lives now. So that's a fun little connection. That's all I have to say about the Orange Tribe for now. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go, here's something I wanted to put out there, because over the last few years, Survivor, there was a push for like more diversity on the show. Yes. So pretty much for the last, I don't even know, 5 or 6 seasons, maybe more than that. They've had way more of a push to have more racial diversity, certainly. But even in the last few seasons, having more diversity amongst the LGBTQ community too. It used to be that there would be like the token gay person, one a season, or maybe even like one every other season sometimes. Like sometimes there just wasn't a lot. I mean, when they were in the game, they always did well, as we mentioned, but they're few and far between for the first however many seasons, 30 something seasons. Now it's like there's at least 3 or 4 gay people, queer people on each season, which is really interesting, because it's interesting to see like queer people interacting with one another, which you used to not have in previous Survivor seasons, like syncing up or going head to head against each other sometimes. That's kind of an interesting new dynamic. And it's just made me think about how, if Survivor's pushing for diversity, I mean, I think that's a winning formula. Like, find new people that you've never had before. Like, we've never had someone like Carolyn before. We've never had someone like Jam Jam before. Like, they're so different. But something that's never been on the show, to my knowledge anyway, is a side B, Christian, also attracted to the same sex, living out a traditional sexual ethic. Like, I, for one, would love to see somebody like that on this show, to see a little something more. Because I see something of myself sometimes in the queer people that are on the show, but there's always a little bit of a disconnect sometimes in that regard. So I'm curious if that's something you've thought about, or if you think that will ever happen. Do you think we'll ever see like representation amongst a side B population on this show? That's
such a good question. I doubt it. I don't know. I doubt it. I would love to see it though,
because they have Christians on the show. I mean, they'll put Christians on the show. I mean, there's always like, again, your token Christian person on the show usually most seasons. So that's not a leap. But I do wonder if that's too far of a leap. Like, would that be too controversial to have somebody who kind of goes against the grain in the predominant culture? Like, I do wonder how that would go over.
Controversial. Which is it's a right shame. Because I would absolutely love to see that.
A rotten shame, is that what you said?
I said it's a right shame, but I just
it's a right shame. Because I've applied for the show, and I've mentioned that as part of my story. I haven't applied much, just like 2 or 3 times, I think. But this was years ago. I haven't applied in a long time, so I've been thinking about it. Like, do I apply for this show? How would I be received on this show? Like, I just wonder. I wonder, because it'd be at this point impossible to. It's like the question, what do you do for a living? I guess I could always lie about what I do for a living or who I am, but I'm not good at lying, which means I'm probably not good at this show, honestly. When I've played the online games, like my bold strategy is try to tell the truth as much as possible. Because if I have to lie, it's probably going to be difficult. Like, I don't know. It doesn't come naturally to me. Like some people.
Yeah. I'm a great liar.
Saying it's you.
Oh, no, it is me. I'm a very good liar.
I had a feeling, I think it's come up before in our conversations that you're a pretty good liar. Yeah, you would be a deceiver.
I would be. It's not a skill set I'm proud or grateful to have. It's something
But you're honest. You're authentic. You own it. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's something I've worked hard to, be more truthful, be more vulnerable, be more honest.
There you go.
Except in a game. When you're playing a game, everything is up for grabs. You can do or say anything you want and not feel bad about it at all, because what's in the game stays in the game.
That's right. Well, I can help you be more authentic and vulnerable. Maybe you can help me be more deceptive and lying. We can draw the best
I would
in each other.
Love to.
Yeah. Have you ever applied for this show? / would you apply for this show?
That's such a good question. I
could see you on this show. I could see it so clearly.
For me, I'm just thinking of like, okay, what would be the path post Survivor? Like, would that negatively affect any career paths?
Yeah, you have to think about that.
That's what I mostly think about. I don't think it would negatively affect. I think it would probably even positively affect.
Yeah, it's like, for me, all publicity is good publicity. If people see that, oh, this Tom Zuniga person's on Survivor, and then they do a little Google search and they come to Your Other Brothers, and we just get more attention on Your Other Brothers. Like, I for sure know a lot of it would be negative, but there would be lots of positive too. So maybe you just filter out the negative. Yeah. Yeah.
But though I think a big deterrent for me too is, and something I would have to think through, is precisely what you said about side B representation and how that would be received. And because I would want to be myself and be honest. I couldn't. Like, I've thought about that. Would I lie about who I am? Or if I said I was gay, would I just pretend I'm affirming? Or
right? What would I do? Like, I just couldn't lie. I couldn't put that facade up for a month. There's just no way. I couldn't. I just know I know myself, and I know I couldn't do that. So
that's super fair. I really respect that. I probably could do it, but it would be really unhealthy, and I would need to purposely choose not to do that.
You talk about your wife and kids at home and how you're so sad daddy has to leave home for a while.
Did you say my what?
You would just be so sad that daddy has to leave his kids at home for a while, because you have these like 3 kids at home and you're a husband to a beautiful wife. Like, you would set up this whole elaborate straight story. I just could see it so clearly. And people would believe it. They would buy it.
You know, if I were straight, Ellie on the previous season would just be exactly my type. I just loved her so much. She went home right before the merge, and she was just so delightful. I remember her.
Adam, this was fun. We will definitely, if you're up for it, recap the season once it's over, and hopefully people that have gravitated to this episode will come back and listen in a few months when we crown a winner of Survivor, which is hopefully one of the people we mentioned today, and hopefully just not some rando who didn't deserve it, who didn't do anything. So
just so long as it
we'll see.
Isn't anything like what happened last season, but I don't
last
see anyone.
Was a tragic end.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Season 43.
No spoilers, but we were just like, what just happened? Yeah, it was a strange ending to a season. Yeah,
a waking nightmare. But every other season
that far, but
been delightful.
Delightful. Yeah, usually season ends delightfully.
Yeah, usually. Yeah, that was a travesty, an absolute travesty. There's so much more to talk about with Survivor too. It's just,
I know. Well, the people listening, if you want to spin off Survivor podcast with Tom and Adam, let me know. Let us know in the comments. Comment on our show, yourotherbrothers.com/podcast, and let us know. Let us know what you think. You know.
Yeah, I'll get my lawyers or my agent to figure out a fee, and we'll get on that. I'm so excited.
We are the YOB Podcast Network now, so we could. I've always made room. Like, there's always room for more TV shows, more podcast shows rather. So who knows? Who knows what will happen? If the demand is there, the people want it. The brothers and the sisters listening too. If you're out there and you want a Survivor show, well, good luck escaping your little refugee bunker shelter. It was nice to be able to just hear you and not all the construction around you today. Thank you for being nice and in a nice, quiet place.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for talking with me, Tom, about Survivor.
Always.
Wonderful.
We'll have to, if it's not Survivor on our next conversation, we'll have to find something else that you and I are both passionate about. I'm sure there's at least one other thing. We'll
definitely more Venn diagrams for us.
Absolutely. Sure. We'll keep doing it. Well, until we cast whatever our next convo is, see you later, friends.
Bye.
First part, I wanted to just try to draw people in, hopefully. So if they're not a Survivor fan and they're just like, oh, what are they talking about? And just hopefully maybe wet their whistle and, go from there.
Yeah. What is wet your whistle? Where does that come from?
I don't know. It's kind of sexual, isn't it? Wet your whistle. kind of has a sexual connotation after I just said that.
I guess.
Like it kind of does. So I don't know. Wet your whistle. It just means, anticipation. Get you salivating, thirsty. I don't know. I don't know what the connotation is.
Are dry whistles not very loud or something? Or maybe they're hard to whistle when they're dry?
I don't want a dry whistle. There you go. Wet your whistle. Yeah, maybe there's something about that.
I don't know.
Anyway,
anyhow.
I'm recording.
Sorry.
Here we go. Don't be like Erica and smash the hourglass. You can't turn back time.
I would love to smash the hourglass. Oh my gosh. I hate that hourglass.
Survivor fans would understand that reference.
They would.